Welcome to Reddit Confessions.
You never think it's going to be you. That was the thought echoing in my head as I sat alone in our backyard, watching the swing sway gently in the breeze, empty. The same swing I installed for our daughter, Ella, last spring. The same swing where I used to push her while my wife smiled from the porch, coffee in hand, camera ready. We were the picture-perfect family. Or at least, that's what I thought. We lived in a quiet cul-de-sac just outside of Columbus, Ohio. The kind of neighborhood where kids rode bikes till sundown, the mailman knew your name, and families hosted rotating barbecues every other weekend. It was safe, almost boring, and I liked it that way. My wife, Tessa, loved it even more because she could play the role of suburban queen. PTA meetings, garden parties, Instagram-worthy lunches with her girlfriends. She was meticulous about her image. Always had been. Everything from her nail polish to the throw pillows on the couch had to be on brand. Our brand. The happy little family. And me? I worked. A lot. I took double shifts at the plant to save for our next big upgrade. A larger home with a finished basement, maybe even a pool. Tessa wanted more space for entertaining. I wanted a home office so I could finally stop working out of the garage. And when I couldn't be home, I felt better knowing Ella had her playdates with Lucy, Tessa's best friend's daughter, and that Tessa had help watching her. Lucy's dad, Mark, was a stay-at-home dad, at least for the summer. His wife, Danielle, had recently gone back to school full-time, and Mark volunteered to take on kid duty. Mark, the guy everyone around here called the perfect dad. He baked cookies. He organized scavenger hunts. He taught the kids magic tricks. Always smiling, always helpful. Everyone loved Mark. So did the kids. So did my wife. But I didn't know that yet. Back then, I thought we were fine. Sure, we had the usual married couple issues. She thought I worked too much. I thought she cared more about social media than us. But nothing serious. At least, nothing I thought we couldn't work through. Then one night, everything changed. It started small. A red flag so subtle, I almost missed it. Ella was playing hide-and-seek in the living room with her iPad. She loved recording herself on it, setting up the camera to catch herself jumping out and yelling boo at the dog or hiding behind the curtains. Just harmless kid stuff. Except this time, she left the iPad running. She forgot about it. And what it recorded, accidentally, innocently, ended up being the first crack in the glass. I didn't even check the iPad right away. It sat on the coffee table for almost 2 days, still recording until the battery died. Tessa found it first and made some offhand comment about needing to delete Ella's silly videos before the memory filled up. I didn't think anything of it until she said that. Delete. Not watch. Not save. But delete. That word lodged in my brain like a splinter. Later that night, after Ella was asleep and Tessa was in the bath scrolling through her phone with a glass of white wine, I plugged the iPad into the charger and waited. I don't know what I expected. Probably nothing. A few jump scares. Maybe footage of the dog getting scared again. But what I saw made my stomach twist. The camera had been propped up, perfect angle, purely by accident. It caught the living room from the far corner, the hallway leading into the kitchen, and part of the couch. It started off innocent. Ella giggling, whispering into the lens, "I'm hiding." Her tiny feet pitter-pattered past the camera. Then silence. A door clicked. Footsteps, adult ones, entered the frame. Tessa. She walked in, not looking for Ella, but fixing her hair in the reflection of the TV screen. She had makeup on. Lipstick I hadn't seen her wear since our anniversary. She was smiling. Not the kind of smile she gave me. It was softer, nervous. Then came the second set of footsteps. Mark. I paused the video. My hand hovered over the screen. I stared at his frozen face for a full minute. He was smiling too. Play. They didn't speak at first. Just stood close. Too close. Then Tessa looked around, like she was making sure the coast was clear, and leaned in. He whispered something into her ear, and she laughed that breathy, flirty laugh she used when we first started dating. And then they kissed. Not a peck. Not a mistake. This was long. Slow. Familiar. I shut the iPad. My chest was tight, like something was sitting on it. My face felt hot, not with rage, yet, but with shock. That kind of gut punch that makes your ears ring. I didn't scream. I didn't confront. I sat there. For hours. That night, I slept on the couch. She didn't ask why. The next morning, Tessa acted like nothing happened. She brewed my coffee. Asked if I wanted eggs. Said she was thinking of starting a little home decor Instagram page. Just something fun, maybe some reels with Ella. I nodded, said sounds good, and sipped my coffee like I hadn't watched her kiss another man on our couch less than 12 hours ago. I needed to be sure. I needed more than just a kiss. And more than anything, I needed time. Time to think. To act. To destroy this without making a sound. So I played dumb. I told her work wanted me on more doubles. She barely looked up from her phone before she said, "That's fine. Mark said he can help out with Ella's drop-offs this week." Of course he did. The next day, while she was out at yoga and Ella was at school, I went full detective. Checked her phone. Nothing. She was smart. Too smart. But I remembered she had an old backup iPhone in the closet, one she'd stopped using when she upgraded last Christmas. I found it under a box of decorations. Still charged. Still connected to her iCloud. She forgot to log out. Messages. Notes. Even a shared calendar. And there it was. M+T Playdate Wineglass Red Heart. Recurring every Thursday afternoon. Tagged with our address. Playdate. That word never sounded more disgusting. I took screenshots. I backed up her messages to a drive I encrypted and hid in my truck. She wasn't just cheating. She was planning around it. And the worst part? Her best friend Danielle, Mark's wife, was completely in the dark. Danielle was the kind of person who baked cupcakes for school staff and left handmade thank you cards in people's mailboxes. She trusted Tessa like a sister. They talked almost daily, sent each other memes, swapped recipes, and her husband was screwing mine on my couch during playdates. I wasn't just angry. I was cold, focused. This wasn't going to end with screaming or fighting. I wasn't going to throw my life into the mud for someone who treated it like a side gig. They made a mistake recording their affair in front of my daughter. I was going to turn that mistake into their funeral. And I knew exactly who I needed to call first. Danielle. Calling Danielle wasn't easy. I stared at her contact for hours, thumb hovering. How do you tell someone their husband is a fraud? That their best friend is the one helping him lie? But eventually, I typed 4 words. "We need to talk." She replied instantly. "Everything okay?" I didn't answer right away. Instead, I drove to her house the next morning with a thumb drive in my pocket and a knot in my stomach. I didn't want to hurt her, but the truth had already done that. I was just delivering the diagnosis. Danielle opened the door in leggings and a hoodie, hair tied back, tired eyes. She smiled at first, until she saw my face. "What happened?" I asked if we could talk inside. She nodded slowly. We sat at her kitchen table. I slid the drive across the surface. "Watch this. I'll wait." She looked at me like I'd just told her someone died. Then she plugged it into her laptop. The video played. Ella's voice. The sound of Tessa laughing. And then the kiss. Danielle covered her mouth. She didn't cry. She just shook her head slowly, her whole body going stiff. "Is this real?" she whispered. I nodded. "It gets worse." I showed her the screenshots. The calendar. The messages from Tessa's old iPhone. The recurring Thursday afternoon playdates. The emojis. The lies. Danielle didn't speak for a long time, just stared blankly at the wall. Then, in a voice I almost didn't recognize, she asked, "When did it start?" I told her what I knew. The timeline. The shifts I worked. The way they planned everything while we were out there killing ourselves to build better lives. She stood up, walked into the hallway, and came back with something in her hand, a manila folder. And then, like something clicked, Danielle looked at me with a kind of fire I hadn't seen before. She leaned forward. "They want to play games?" She tapped the folder. "Let's end them together." Danielle and I didn't talk revenge like it was a fantasy. We talked like 2 people planning an op cold. Clear. Focused. First move. We both contacted lawyers. Quietly. Hers already had the papers. Mine got started that day. Second move. Separate bank accounts. She already had hers. I opened one on my lunch break and transferred what I legally owned from our joint savings. Tessa had no clue. I left just enough in there to keep her from noticing. A breadcrumb trail of normal. Third, the Facebook drop. Danielle had the idea. "You know the local mom group?" she asked, tapping her screen. "Everyone's in it. Tessa lurks there like it's her job." I nodded. "Well, what if some anonymous concerned neighbor drops a few receipts?" I smiled for the first time in weeks. We created a burner account. Profile pic was a random landscape. Username, concerned on Clover Lane. And we posted. Not names, just screenshots. A blurred still from the iPad footage. A caption that said, "Reminder, Your perfect neighbor might be using your kids' playdates as cover for more than hide and seek. The post blew up in minutes. Hundreds of comments. Theories. DMs. People guessed. People knew. Tessa and Mark's reputations, which they'd built on clean-cut charm and curated smiles, started crumbling before either of them knew what hit them. Danielle and I never commented. Never liked the post. We just watched from the sidelines as whispers turned to storms. 2 days later, Tessa asked if I could pick up Ella from school. That's when I knew she felt it. The shift. I said I had work. Then I sent my lawyer the green light. The final move? Coordinated divorce filings. Same morning. Same time. Served at the exact same place. The preschool drop-off. Danielle and I watched from her car as 2 separate process servers walked up to our spouses, manila envelopes in hand. Mark looked stunned. Tessa dropped her coffee. Ella didn't see. That was the one thing we agreed on. Keep the kids out of it as much as possible. But the adults? They were going to feel everything. Tessa came home after being served and acted like she'd walked into a hostage crisis. She slammed the front door, her voice trembling, fake tears already dialed up to 10. What the hell, Josh? I sat on the couch, calm, TV on mute, her manila envelope on the coffee table. I think the paperwork explains it. Her face twisted. You blindsided me, served me? At school? You cheated. At home. She opened her mouth to spin something, but I cut her off. Oh, and before you try the "we were on a break" speech, maybe check your cloud backup settings. I've got the footage. The messages. Even your cutesy calendar emojis. She went pale. You went through my stuff? No, I said, standing slowly. Our daughter accidentally caught you making out with Mark in the living room. I just followed the thread. She sat down. Hard. You don't understand, Mark and I. I held up a hand. Don't care. Save it for your lawyer. She blinked, like she'd just realized I wasn't playing the role she expected. I wasn't angry. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't begging. I was done. And in case you're wondering, Danielle got served at the same time. You and Mark both got your wake-up call together. Fitting, right? She flinched. You talked to Danielle? Yeah. We shared notes. Turns out honesty's refreshing after years of living with a professional liar. She didn't speak, just stared at her hands. I walked to the door, grabbed my bag. Ella's at my sister's. She's staying with me for a while. We'll work out custody. Through attorneys. Her eyes darted up. You can't just take her. She's safer away from this mess right now. And no, I didn't take her. She asked to go. That broke her. Not the divorce. Not the exposure. Not the public embarrassment. It was that her daughter wanted distance. I left her sitting there, surrounded by the image she worked so hard to protect, now cracking at the seams. And I didn't feel guilt. I felt free. By the time the local Facebook moms pieced it all together, it was too late for either of them to clean up the wreckage. Mark's reputation as the perfect dad went up in flames. Someone found photos of him and Tessa at the park during a supposed school meeting. A few moms zoomed in. You could see them holding hands, her wedding ring missing. Screenshots made the rounds. So did whispers. Danielle didn't say a word publicly. She didn't have to. She let the post sit. The one from Concerned on Clover Lane. People filled in the blanks on their own. Tessa tried to save face. First came the vague quotes on Instagram. Sometimes the people closest to you hurt you the most. Then came a selfie with Ella. Caption, just us girls. Stronger than ever. She disabled comments within the hour. Because someone replied. Is that before or after Thursday's playdate? I almost felt bad for her. Almost. At work, she asked for mental health leave. Her boss declined. Danielle had sent HR a private packet. It included screenshots of Tessa using company resources to plan private getaways and evidence of her calling Mark during work hours, on company time, on a company phone. She didn't just lose her image. She lost her job. Mark tried playing the victim, too. Claimed Danielle had set him up. She responded by emailing a group photo from a school function. Him, Tessa, hand on her lower back. Timestamped. He went silent after that. Danielle filed for sole custody of Lucy. I filed for joint and I got it. No judge in the world would give Tessa full custody after seeing the video Ella accidentally made and reading the text she forgot to delete. But the best part? None of it came from rage. No screaming matches. No vandalism. No drama. Just facts. Truth. And quiet, strategic exposure. Their fake little world fell apart in whispers. And when I dropped Ella off at school the following week, one of the teachers pulled me aside. "She's been smiling more," she said softly. "Seems lighter." I smiled too, because for the first time in a long time, I was giving my daughter something real. Peace. It's strange how quickly people disappear when the mask slips. Within a month, Tessa went from queen of the cul-de-sac to a ghost in her own life. Danielle told me she moved back in with her parents, 3 towns over. Mark stayed in the house, but alone. His name started disappearing from bake sale signups, from block party invites. The neighborhood didn't confront him. They just withdrew. Turns out suburban shame is a quiet kind of death. Tessa texted me once a week, like clockwork. At first it was bargaining. "Can we talk? Just us? Ella misses me." Then came the guilt trips. I was lost. "You weren't there. You chose work over me." I didn't respond to any of them. But one message stuck out. It came around 1:30 a.m. On a Thursday, go figure. "He doesn't want me. He said I ruined his life. I have no one." It didn't feel good to read that. It didn't feel like victory. It felt empty. Because the truth is, I didn't want revenge for pain. I wanted her to understand it. To feel the weight she threw on me when she laughed behind my back and whispered secrets into someone else's ear in our living room. Danielle and I stayed in touch, platonically. We met for coffee a few times. She said, like I finally stepped outside after living in a smoke-filled house. I knew exactly what she meant. Meanwhile, Ella adjusted faster than I expected. Kids are resilient. But one night, she asked me the question I'd been dreading. "Daddy, are you and Mommy still married?" I crouched down, looked her in the eye. "No, sweetheart. We're not. But that doesn't mean we don't both love you." She nodded like she already knew. She cried when she hugged me. I think she's sad. I didn't respond. I just hugged her tight. Let Tessa cry. Let her feel it. Because all I ever did was try to build something for us. And she tore it down for a thrill she couldn't even keep. 6 months passed. The divorce finalized quietly, just like the end of a book you knew was coming. There were no fights in court. No last-minute objections. Tessa signed everything without protest. Maybe she was too tired to pretend anymore. I kept the house. She didn't fight for it. Said it was too full of memories. I think she meant too full of reminders. She moved into a 1-bedroom apartment near her parents. Took up watercolor painting. Posted about it once. Captioned, "Healing with color." Ella visits her twice a month. Tessa's always on her best behavior during those weekends. Polished. Smiling. Overcompensating. But kids know. They feel things we think they're too young to understand. Ella never asks to stay longer. And me? I started sleeping again. Really sleeping. Not the shallow, twitchy half-rest I'd gotten used to. I changed jobs, got out of the factory grind, and took a maintenance supervisor position at a local college. Less stress, better hours. I'm home when Ella gets off the bus. We cook together now. She's obsessed with pancakes, insists on making them in funny shapes. We burn half of them and laugh every time. The silence in the house used to haunt me. Now, it heals. Danielle and I remain friends. Just that, friends. We went through fire together, but we both know rushing into something built from mutual trauma is a mistake. We check in, help each other out when needed, celebrate wins, like when Lucy got Student of the Month or when I got my first promotion. It's not romantic. It's real. One day, Ella asked if she could paint my nails. I said sure. She picked blue. When I dropped her off at school with those smudged, uneven nails, one of the other dads gave me a look. "You lose a bet," he joked. I smiled. Nope. Just being a dad. Because I am one. A damn good one. And no affair, no betrayal, no public scandal could change that. Tessa tried to take a shortcut to happiness. Burned every bridge to do it. Me? I rebuilt. From the ground up. With intention. With peace. It happened on a Wednesday. Just a normal afternoon. I had just finished grilling out back with Ella. Burgers, her favorite, when my phone buzzed with a notification from my old Gmail account. An account I barely touched anymore. Subject line. Hope this reaches you. It was from Danielle's ex, Mark. I stared at it for a solid minute. The man hadn't said a word to me since the day he got served. And now this? I opened it. "Josh, I know I'm the last person you ever expected, or wanted, to hear from. But I need you to know something. I've been in therapy. I've been doing the work. Not just because of what happened, but because of who I let myself become. I didn't reach out to you to clear my name. I'm not asking for forgiveness. But there's something you should see. Tessa lied to you. To both of us. About more than the affair. Asterisk. Attached was a screenshot. It was from months ago. A message from Tessa, sent during the early stages of their friendship. It read, "Don't worry, I've been shifting funds for months. He won't notice. He never checks." I stared at that line for a long time. Shifting funds? I went back through my old bank statements. Looked deeper than I had during the divorce. And there it was. Small withdrawals. Transferred to a prepaid card I never saw. Over months. Just under the threshold to trigger an alert. Thousands of dollars. Gone. She'd been bleeding our savings before the affair even started. Planning her exit. Building a cushion behind my back. She didn't just betray me emotionally. She robbed me. I called my lawyer the next day. Explained everything. Sent the emails. The records. And we reopened the case. Tessa was served again, this time with a civil suit. Not out of spite. Out of principle. She thought the story was over. She thought her curtain had closed. But it hadn't. And this time, the truth wasn't whispered. It was documented. Deposited. Recorded. By the time we were done, she owed me $14,300 and change. She tried to negotiate. Tried to spin it as old couple stuff, claiming she didn't remember doing that. I didn't flinch. The judge ruled in my favor. Full reimbursement. Garnished from her income directly. That was the final nail. Not the Facebook scandal. Not the divorce. Not the exposed affair. It was the simple, legal truth. And when that final payment hit my account, I smiled. Not out of pettiness, but out of something deeper. Justice. Because I had been underestimated. Discarded. Played. But in the end, I was the one who walked away with peace, with my daughter's love, and with the truth fully on my side. She walked away with nothing but silence. And for someone like Tessa, that was the worst punishment of all.